What's going on, everyone? So, the San Antonio Spurs have signed Micah Potter to what appears to be a training camp invite deal. At the time of recording this video, we don't have the details on it, but according to the reports, signs kind of point to it being an Exhibit 9 or Exhibit 10 deal. So, more likely than not, he is going to be just a training camp invite who's going to get the opportunity to come in and maybe fill in that final roster spot. Remember, Spurs still have the 15th roster spot that they can fill. Also have some two-way options, stuff like that. So they're going to have to figure it out. He's a guy that has played with the Detroit Pistons and the Utah Jazz. Not a ton. He's also older. He's 27 years old, but is a guy that knows his role, can play his role, also kind of gives you that floor spacing big man that can slot in potentially at the 4, slot in at the 5, and just give you some versatility out there, give you a little bit of defense, whatnot. We'll get into all the numbers and stats here in a moment. We'll kind of see, if I'm being honest, probably just nothing more than a training camp invite, before we dive into the pros and cons. But who knows, right? Like if he comes in and plays a great role in training camp, kind of give him a solid look and just see what he can do. And if he's out there putting in the work, rebounding, spreading the floor, he's a guy that because of his versatility, and if you wanted to kind of slot in, like I've talked about, if you look at this team and you look at this roster and it's like, okay, what's the biggest kind of need for this team? It's shooting for sure. But position wise, it's like, okay, well, you could probably use another like 6'10" guy that could slot in at the 4 or the 5, like I've talked about, because you have Wemby, Luke Cornett, and Kelly Olynyk, but guys are going to get the night off over the over this course of the season. You can also run multiple big lineups, especially in the Western Conference, where you have like Jokic, and you have teams like Minnesota who can run multiple bigs at the same time, or Memphis who can run multiple bigs at the same time. Right? Again, kind of be chameleon-esque to where hey, 2 big lineups, no problem. Here's 2. Hey, you're doing small ball, boom, you can throw in a Micah Potter out there in a small ball lineup. He's 6'9". He's 250, so he's got good size, good strength, good interior presence, but he's got that 7'1" wingspan, so he can, be out there, defend, use the wingspan to block shots, defend, and just do multiple things out there, right? A guy that can, make the occasional play, knock down the open 3, rebound the basketball. You kind of look in a limited role last year, 4.3 points, 4.3 rebounds, and an assist, right? That's solid, right? Especially in a limited role, limited minutes, all that stuff. Like I said, we'll go over the stats and whatnot here shortly. So I wouldn't hate if he ended up getting the opportunity of making the roster. I like the idea of that kind of 6'9", 6'10" guy that can slot in. So if you want to go the small ball route, you can go the small ball route. If you want to kind of play him alongside Wemby, or him alongside Luke Cornett, or him alongside Kelly Olynyk, it just gives you, roster flexibility and different rotations and different lineups and looks. Problem is that like he's 27, but he's not like an experienced 27, right? Like he's not a guy that's, been in the league for 8 years or 9 years or something like that, or even like 5 or 6 years and has played, 70 games a season or anything like that, right? He's mostly spent time in the, G League and coming to the NBA. Like last year was the most games he's ever played in a season, and it was 38 games. He did start in 10 of them, but before that, it was 16 games, then it was 7 games, and it was 3 games. He's been in the league for 4 years since he was 23, and, he's played 64 games total. He hasn't even played a full season in those 4-year span. So, again, he's a guy that I think he's just kind of more of a flyer guy. I think he's more of just a body that you're throwing in there to match up against your guys and just kind of, again, be a training camp invite guy that, maybe if he has some success and he does look good, maybe he has a chance to make the roster, but not somebody that I'd count on or get my hopes up on. But let's dive into the stats here a little bit, kind of give you an idea, because last year was the most minutes he played by a good margin, most field goal attempts, most everything. So he played 38 games, started in 10 of them, averaged 18.6 minutes per game, got 3.6 field goal attempts per game, shot 42.2% overall from the floor, from 3-point range on 2.6 attempts. He shot only 31.6%, which is rough. You look at the previous year, however, he did shoot half the attempts, so 1.3, but he did shoot 43%. He shot 42.9%. I'm not expecting him to necessarily be 42.9%. He is a career 35% guy, and it's because his first year, he only took two. I think it was two total over the course of the season at threes, and he didn't make one of them. So that really killed his 3-point percentage. But you look at year two, he shot 57.1%. 57.1% from three-point range. But again, that was on 7 games and only an average of 1 attempt per game. So very small sample size. Okay, he averaged 1.3 in 16 games. Again, another small sample size, but shot 43% from three-point range. And then in the largest sample size we have, which is 38 games, on 2.6 attempts, which is literally double from his next highest, he was only able to shoot 31.6%. So, is he closer to that, or was that just a bad year, bad stretch, right? Also Utah was not trying to win very many games last year, where maybe if you're playing alongside a De'Aaron Fox, just the quality of looks that you would get would probably be much better. So maybe you'd be able to knock down with more efficiency, right? It's kind of one of those things where it's like, where is he at as far as that? Because you have one extremity where he's shooting 57% or 43%, and then you have the other extremity where he's shooting 32%, and that's me being nice and rounding up. So just something to kind of keep in mind. But 2-point range, 70% on just one attempt. The most attempts he's ever gotten was his rookie season, in which he averaged 3 attempts, but he did shoot 56% from 2-point range. He had an EFG of 53.7% from the floor. Free throw shooting, most attempts is 0.7 attempts, which he was 100% on. But again, that was only in 3 games. Last year, he averaged on half an attempt, 85%. The year before, in 16 games, averaged half an attempt and shot 75%. So hopefully he's, let's say he split the difference, 80% from the free throw line. That would be really good. Rebounds, 4.3 rebounds. So good rebounder in limited minutes. Not great, not a leader or anything, but just a good rebounder in limited minutes. And then an assist, half a steal, half a block, and 4.3 points per game. If you look at his per 36, which per 36 doesn't tell you everything, it doesn't give you the whole idea, but kind of gives you a little clue of what he could potentially be. He would be 8.5 rebounds, 8.5 assists, 8.5 rebounds, 8.5 points, 2 assists, a steal, and a block per game per 36 minutes. So nothing crazy, but he's just a guy that I think could come in, slot in, play a role for you. But if I'm being honest, I don't really see him making the main roster. I think he's more of a guy that's just going to be a body come training camp. If he was 23, then yeah, I could maybe see, because it's hey, let's bring him in. If he looks half decent, maybe you can develop him for a year or two and maybe take Kelly Olynyk's place in a year or two, that kind of idea. But him being 27, it's unfortunate that he's probably a little too old to, by the time he actually gets to where he needs to be, it's how many years does he have left? And so I don't really see it. But anyways, always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.